Welcome back to Cosy Rosie Crochet. In case we haven't met, my name is Fiona and I am the designer behind Cosy Rosie UK. I specialise in helping people learn more crochet techniques through the fun of making crochet patterns. Now today I'm going to take you through just some of the yarn that I've purchased this month, along with the reasons behind why I've purchased it in one of the hottest months of the year. There are lots of reasons why I purchase yarns outside of the seasonal kind of trends of purchasing yarn, and believe you me, it can help you make some huge savings on your yarn shopping. Now before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and of course the notification bell so that you never miss out on one of my crochet tutorials or videos again. I feel like I might have made quite a few yarn purchases this month, and there are lots of reasons behind why I've purchased them, and I want to go into it a little bit more depth because believe you me, there have been savings to be had this month. So one of the first things that I've purchased this month is actually some seriously bulky weight yarn. Now I used to purchase a lot of chunky weight or bulky weight yarn when I was a crochet maker. So specifically my products would be made with a heavier weight yarn so that they were quicker to make, so I could pass that time saving cost on to my customer. So let me show you exactly which yarn I purchased and where I got it from. So one of the first yarns that I've purchased is James C. Brett Rustic Mega Chunky. Now, one of the main reasons that I purchased this yarn is 100% because of its tweed-like flecks in the yarn. And you can see them from here as well. They are absolutely stunning, and some of them are bright neon. Now, this is, shall I tell you how much of it I bought? So obviously I'm probably a size XL. So I'm going to be making a really basic, super chunky pattern for us all to make later on in the season when things get a little bit warmer, and it's going to be beginner friendly and just a nice snuggly either a cardigan or a jumper that we can make. And it is going to be using a super bulky yarn, and when I say super bulky I mean super bulky. You need a 12mm crochet hook with this one. Of course I have one, because it's just such a huge chunky ply in this yarn, and I love these little flecks of colour throughout, and I think it's going to work up so beautifully. So the fibre content in this yarn is 10% wool, 82% acrylic and 8% viscose. So it has some natural fibres and lots of man-made fibres, which means of course it's going to be really easy to wash and to care for. You can already see, if you can see, there's a bit of a fuzz, or what we refer to as a yarn halo on this yarn. So there is a risk that it's going to pile, and I hope not too much. It does say delicate wash, so because of that yarn content I'm going to have to be careful how I work this, and of course how I wash it. Working wise, it might not be the easiest thing to actually frog, and that's always a concern when I'm designing. I try to go for things that are a little bit easier to undo because I'm going to make mistakes. I might have to rework sections. But one of my major concerns about these tweed style yarns is that these bits can fall off. So they are not very heavily woven in, but they're woven in enough that once it is the project or the yarn is worked up, they will be quite secure. So I did purchase 10 balls of this because I'm going to be making an extra large, and it's going to be quite a nice bulky loose fit sweater or cardigan. I haven't decided which yet, but it's going to be nice and basic and really a beautiful pattern for absolute beginners. So this is my first yarn purchase. Now I actually picked this up at my hobbycraft store that I live near. I also work at it. So this is why this video has been marked as sponsored, because when I purchased this, I did receive my employee discount. I don't think I've spoken on this channel previously about the fact that I work for one of the UK's largest crafting companies. I'm incredibly proud to do so. I'm also a hobbycraft artisan, which allows me to do extra projects for the company and different things as well. I teach workshops for them, and I absolutely love my job. And one of the biggest perks for me is of course being able to purchase yarn with my staff discount. So I did get 10 of these ready to make a new design, and I cannot wait to show it with you. Should I show you my next purchase? This is where I'm going to get to talk to you about shipping, because I made a boo-boo. So this bag, which is not currently open, is actually from Wool Warehouse, and ashamedly I have 2 of them. Neither have been opened because they're both assigned for projects. I know specifically which is in which because I can tell by the shape of the yarn. So let's get these opened up, and then I can tell you all about the boo-boo that I made with my shipping. So without rustling too much, now I am a huge fan. I do love these organza bags because I do reuse them, and Wool Warehouse have personalised them to their company by adding their lovely ribbon too. And they're great if you're making gifts for people, because you can pop the finished project in. So I have already got a couple of patterns using this Batik Swirl by Stylecraft. And I have not tried this colourway before, and I'm looking at the camera because it's just so beautiful. I cannot wait to work this up. So this specifically is being used for an exclusive video that I'm making for Creative Fabrica. This is a company that I work with, making some exclusive content for them. So this is like videos for their subscribers that they can access as part of their monthly subscription. If you're not a subscriber to Creative Fabrica, I'll pop a link in the description box below, and you can go and find out more about them, because it's not just about crochet. They do every single kind of craft, going from cry-cut crafting through to embroidery and fonts, and just lots of wonderful things. So do go and check them out, because they are really quite a wonderful company. So this Batik Swirl is going to be turned into an exclusive video for them, but I will be able to share lots of pictures with you once the project's finished too. But isn't that colourway stunning? So this is actually the colour Hedgerow. I originally, oh, it's over there. Should I go and grab it? 1 second. So this colourway is called Hedgerow, and I've used this yarn previously in my cable and crossed cowl. You can find this pattern as a guest post, which I'll link below I'll link here for you, which is over on one of my friends' blogs, and you can see the full written pattern over there. And it's like a little mini cowl that is perfect for kind of those colder days, should we say, but also it can be styled for summer. You can make it longer or shorter, however you want. And this is why I'm so excited to work this colourway up, to see how these rounds turn out. So this ball is actually a 200-gram ball, which is quite a nice big one. And again, it's an 80% acrylic, 20% wool mix. So you're going to get that extra warmth from the wool content, and it is actually incredibly soft considering there is yarn in here. But your 200 grams is going to give you 550 meters, which is 601 yards. And for me, this is perfect for like an infinity scarf or a smaller cowl. If you wanted to make a super large infinity scarf, you probably need 2 of these. But again, highly recommend this yarn. The colourways are phenomenal. So that is the Batik Swirl from Stylecraft. So the second delivery that I had from Stylecraft was a boo-boo on my part. So I just had standard shipping from Wool Warehouse, which I might be able to tell you how much it was. So the standard shipping at Wool Warehouse, this is UK obviously pricing, was £2.95. I just ordered that one cake, that's all I needed, until later in the week when I started making another pattern, and actually ran out of yarn pretty quickly, mainly because of the colourway I'd selected. So I had to order more. Now that's my fault. Normally I'm quite organised with my yarn ordering, so that I just pay one lot of shipping or order enough to get free shipping. Sometimes that can be a false economy, but I'm going to talk about that in a moment, because I have a Love Crafts order and they also have a minimum shipping amount for a free order. So let me open up this second bag from Wool Warehouse. This is another of my favourite yarns to work with. Oh, and it is also a Stylecraft. These are probably the only 2 yarns that I've used from Stylecraft that I really am passionate about. So this is Stylecraft Naturals Cotton and Bamboo Blend. I've actually used this in a number of designs, one of which is going to be re-releasing very shortly in the next couple of weeks, and that'll be available for you free on the blog. And again, the colourways available in this yarn is pretty phenomenal. I do kind of stick to the pinks and the purples. This is a lilac, I think. Yeah, lilac. That was a good guess. So it is literally 60% bamboo and 40% cotton. So it is 100% natural fibre, although I think there is some kind of man-made process when it comes to the bamboo. So that would actually fall into the man-made category, believe it or not, because of the processing type. Again, they're quite nice sized balls, especially some of the cotton balls we get are really quite small. This is a full 100-gram ball, and on there we get, I know my friend can quote this verbatim because she knows it so well. So there's 250 meters and 273 yards. It is super, super soft because of that blend of the bamboo and the cotton. It's great for those summer garments because it's so lightweight. I've made sweaters, I've made a beach cover up in there, I've made bags in this as well, all in different colorways. I will try and link that below for you as well, because this is, I highly, highly recommend this yarn. It works really well. The recommended hook size is actually a 3.5mm. I tend to use it with a 4mm hook, and actually in the pattern that I'm using at the moment, I'm using a 4.5mm, the pattern that I'm writing right now, which you will be seeing in August. So yeah, I've got two different colours. So I've got the lilac, and to go with it, I've got the rose colour. So you can see together, it's a really beautiful colour combination. And actually, if you just look over my right shoulder, there is some more cotton bamboo just left up there. I've kind of been stripping the yarn off of these shelves. So this brings me to something that you're probably already thinking. Why am I ordering yarn when I have so much yarn behind me? Now, even my husband sent me a meme the other day that was along the lines of, it's not hoarding if it's yarn. And I actually disagree with that statement, because there is the possibility that we purchase yarn on a whim that can actually work out quite expensive if we're never going to use it. I've been very fortunate that my mum runs like a knit and stitch group in her village, and they have graciously accepted some donations from me of some wilder choices of yarn, shall we say. Now, I don't have them because they've been given away, but I have certainly over the years made some dodgy purchases, and I mean fibre contents that I didn't know what they were going to feel like. I've purchased colours that are just things that I would never wear just because they were a bargain. We've all done it. We all make yarn mistakes, and it's not something to be worried about or be ashamed about, but most definitely we do need to sometimes question ourselves before we order. I can genuinely say that the vast majority of yarn on this shelf, actually not that shelf, ignore that one, I don't like that colour, but the cream, and this is all that's left of my chunky now. One of the things that I've been really consciously doing this year is to try and use my own yarn stash. I'm very fortunate that over the last couple of years I've been very careful with the yarn purchases that I've made. Obviously because I kind of have my own brand colours, if you know what I mean, like, which actually means colours I like to wear and colours I like to see in my home. And it's really been a learning curve for me to kind of stick to those yarn colours, and try not to waver too far from them. That way, any handmade garments I make or accessories, they all go together. Those wilder colour choices that I've made in yesteryear, a lot of them I've actually ended up donating, either to a local charity shop or to maybe a knit and stitch group that makes the charity. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time. Obviously, I have Cosy Rosie UK and I have a job as well. I don't have a lot of time to make for charity myself, so me donating some of my yarn stash does feel like to me that I get to give back a little bit to the community that I live in through my yarn. It might have been through my own bad yarn choices, but it's still a donation. If you are finding that you're struggling to select yarn colours, it is always worth having a look around on social media with some hashtags. So on occasions where I've had the opportunity to work with a yarn company and I've not felt their yarn or seen their colourways, one of the best things that I can recommend you do when you're picking your colours is to actually do a search on the hashtag. So you search for the hashtag for the yarn brand or specifically for that yarn. Obviously, a lot of us, when we're sharing our social media projects, do tag the yarn company or use a hashtag using the yarn name. So you can see examples of how that colour worked up. You might even be lucky enough to find photos that show you how those colours looked paired together. So you can get lots of information from social media, because sometimes those pictures on the yarn websites aren't quite what we would think. So the best example that I have of selecting yarn colours is going to have to be this yarn that I was graciously given from We Crochet. This was for a summer design last year in an event I was working in. And this was called Coral. So as you can see from this colour, this is not what I would describe as coral. It's actually nearly orange in my opinion. So when I received this yarn, I was like, oh, not quite what I was expecting. And that can be quite disheartening, because especially when it's being shipped from the US, for me, it can be quite challenging to get that yarn returned. And obviously this was for an event, so I was on a deadline. I used it and I loved it actually in the finished project. Still have a couple of balls left, so you're going to see this feature again another time. But once again, I will say thank you to We Crochet for supplying the yarn for that event. It was an epic event. So I have consciously really been trying to run down some of my yarn stash this year. It might not look like it to you, but the shelf above here is about to get used up. And I mean all of it, probably within the next 30 days. I'm going to be talking to you more about this in detail over the coming month, because in my head, this event is going to be something else. It's going to give you the opportunity to learn loads of new crochet stitches, and I just cannot wait to share the finished projects, plural, with you. So you've seen the cotton bamboo that I've purchased, you've seen the yarn cake, and you've seen the bulky weight yarn that I've bought. Now I have made one other purchase, and it was from one of my favourite yarn shops, which is of course Love Crafts. Now this is not they do have bigger bags than this. I don't know if you're aware of it. If you've ever done a massive order from Love Crafts, there are on occasions times that my yarn will come in a box. I've literally just got rid of the last box because I was using it for storage, but I've been clearing up and tidying up so that at some point I can share more of my yarn, my space with you, because it's been a bit messy recently, shall we say. So the yarn that I got in a box was about 4 months ago, and it was all of this yarn. There's a whole shelf above here that's all Aran. Got a couple of bits here as well. And in this bag we have I will admit I'd kind of forgotten what I'd ordered. Okay, let me show you first before you really think I'm terrible. Oh, now this is I've just seen the colour of it and I'm not sure it's quite what I expected. I might need your opinions on this one. So okay, I'm hoping, I don't know if I like this. So this is, oh my goodness. This is the Raspberry Ripple Chunky Pot from Love Crafts. Well, from Paintbox Yarns, which is sold by Love Crafts. This is Raspberry Ripple. Now I've used Chunky Pots before. I'm a huge fan of them when it comes to blankets. And this was most definitely purchased with a new blanket design in mind. I am going to have to swatch this up before I make a decision. I am not feeling this. See if I can get it right up close for you. There is green in there. There is almost fluorescent pink. Okay, I bought 5 of them because their chunky pots can come in single chunky pots, a bag of 5 or a bag of 10. Now this is going to be a medium-sized blanket, so 5 balls should be enough. I'm going to reserve judgment. Let's put that away. Yeah, I'm not sure I like that. And because, oh, I'm really disappointed. Oh, is there any worse feeling than, this is, I'm glad I hadn't opened that before I came on because I wouldn't even have told you I'd ordered it. Oh well. Okay, so this goes to show I've not seen that in anything other than on the website to show the colourways, and that is not really what I was expecting. How disappointing. I am literally sat here in silence for a couple of minutes because I'm absolutely at a loss, because I might have to return. Oh, anyway, I'm not going to go on about it. It is what it is. I'm not going to dwell on the colourway, but I am going to tell you that it was an absolute bargain. This for me is where it becomes really important to look ahead for your yarn purchases. Now we know that a lot of the yarn companies offer some great savings quite regularly, but it's not always on what we're looking for dependent on the season. So for instance, for me personally, I've just bought 2 lots of chunky or bulky weight yarn, and that's because for me, I'm starting to design for the colder months as they're coming in. In fact, I've got some DK with wool, some chunky weight with wool, and I've got that 100% acrylic that's also a bulky weight yarn. I am most definitely already thinking about those colder month patterns and makes that we're going to be making as the months progress. So for me, it's an ideal time to start purchasing those heavier weight yarns. You'll also find that a lot of the yarn companies will be moving on some of those older colourways that we might really favour, unlike that one. Promise I won't dwell. It might look great when it's worked up, so I will let you know. So yeah, now is the time to be looking at those heavier weight yarns that you know you're going to need for a project. If you've been holding on to make a pattern that you found last winter that you want to make for this winter, check if you haven't got that yarn in your yarn stash. Now is the time to be looking around for some really great deals on some of those yarn costs, because it can change throughout the year. Another great example is probably the time of year that I purchased my cotton. if I'm buying cotton yarn, unless it's for an emergency project like that, that doesn't tend to be on sale very often. But things like the Paintbox yarn, the 100% cotton or cotton DK, cotton Aran, or the size 4, you might not find that discounted during summer because they're going to already be selling lots of it. It's just something to be aware of. And there is one more thing I want to mention. Obviously, as you know, I purchased 2 different times from the same company this week, and both times I paid for shipping. And the reason I did that was because I didn't want to top up my order just to get free shipping. It's really important that we don't fall into that trap of ordering more yarn than we need just in case. It's something I've fallen foul of very many times, which has led me to donate quite a lot of yarn over the years as well. And actually, it is, in some respects, a bit of a marketing ploy. We know when we're going to order 10 balls of yarn, the chances are it's going to bring us under or over that free shipping mark so that we can order quite freely and confidently, knowing that it's going to be okay. So perhaps we just bought one cake like this, which was £8.99, and I paid £2.99 shipping on it. It changes the price of the yarn quite a bit when you think about it, because that brought the total to £11.94 for one skein of yarn. Not so much of a bargain, is it? But if I was to buy 3 of these just to get to free shipping, I don't know if they have a free shipping option actually, but if that was something I had to do, I've then got 3 times as much yarn and actually spent almost 3 times as much money. So it's just something to be aware of, that it's not always the best value to add on to your order to hit that mark when shipping can be a lot lower than ordering more yarn. At the end of the day, all yarn companies need our support, be it small yarn, local companies that we can go and visit, through to the big box companies as well. Crafting is not a cheap hobby. We all know that, we're living it, but most definitely we are doing it from a place of joy. So please don't get yourself into any financial trouble just to make a project. For me, ultimately, yarn shopping should be a fun experience. And sometimes when things go wrong, it's okay to have a sulk, as I've just done, when the colourway isn't quite what you're expecting. But do remember that lots of yarn companies do accept returns. Don't feel that you can't send it back if it's not what you're expecting, or perhaps and reach out to their customer services as well. This goes definitely, I've had some experience with lots of yarn companies of returning and the wrong things being sent out. And ultimately they are there to serve you as a customer and they want to keep us happy. And that goes both ways. These companies aren't out here to make mistakes on purpose. If something goes wrong, believe you me, they're going to feel bad for it. So my yarn haul for June, that looks much more sensible than how much there actually is. I think I've done pretty well. Most of this will not be used this month, but I know when I'm going to be using it. For instance, the chunky pots, if I like the colourway once it's worked up, and the Baltic Swirl will both be used in August. Baltic Swirl is going to be used in the next few days, as will this lot. So I don't feel that my yarn haul was particularly excessive. You might, and I'd understand that. But I promise you that I don't know why I'm reassuring you, you're probably not bothered at all. But for me personally, I do have a bit of a budget that I stick to. I need to have a budget or else I would go absolutely crazy. And I think that's something that's really important. If you are looking for a specific yarn, Google it. Don't assume that your usual yarn company is going to have the best price. It is worth looking around for those special offers, finding out if you've been sent any coupons or special discounts for being a loyal customer to a particular company. Of course, keep your eyes open for all of those wonderful bargains that are available, especially for those out of season yarns. If you're going to be making a sweater or a jumper this winter, most definitely get looking for that yarn now. Pick your colourways, get it ordered so you can see what it looks like in real life, in case you get something you're not very happy with. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed seeing the yarn that I've ordered this month, and I'll be back probably at the end of July to see what extra yarn I've bought. I probably shouldn't be buying any yarn next month, but I probably will because, you know, I love yarn.